Well, probably
It
something
does
going on
though.
here,
It
right?
When
does
you're
though
talking about
because
valuing life, we
I
have a
value all
severe
no,
life,
but we're
right?
problem
not. But the
with
conversation is
valuing
actually not
lives.
valuing life. The conversation is abortion because that is something that has to be decided legislatively. The broader conversation is life. But the reason that it always comes down to abortion is because this is an area of debate. This is an area where you have half of the country who think that there are people committing crimes against unborn children that are murdering their children. The debate is abortion. That is the debate.
Can
Now
can I bring
we can
can I
have
bring some facts into this, please? More facts. Like everybody just
Are you going to
said.
let Caroline speak, or are you just going to speak over her?
I want to bring some facts into this, please.
And you're
I
saying she's
really
not bringing
want some
facts into
facts
it,
here.
but she's clearly bringing facts, and you just don't like hearing them.
She's bringing opinions. I'm going to bring some facts.
No, she's bringing
Okay.
facts. Like you interrupted her. Let her finish.
Florida, look, everybody here just said that the system should be perfect and that we should
Nobody's
work to
saying the system
perfect
should
it.
be perfect,
that is
Grant.
actually the argument that I'm making is that like
The
the
system should
reason
be
that it's
improved.
about the reason that it's about abortion is because that's the thing that has to be decided legislatively. Where we get derailed is by thinking that we're going to live in some utopian world. And so we start getting derailed by, but what about, but what about, but what about, but what about? The thing that needs to be decided on is abortion. That's where the debate is. Nobody here is
Why
denying
is that the thing that needs to be decided on, and not how
Because
we
it's
take care
legislative.
of the
Yeah, wait
children
a
that have
because
second.
it
no
is
home?
not
Is
Shamani,
settled
that not
Shamani is
also
somebody who made.
legislatively.
legislative?
Look,
Is it?
Shamani made an incredible point here, and I want to follow up on this point with some facts. In Florida, which is where this big abortion ban was passed, all right, Florida has this government agency called the Florida Department of Children and Families, or the Florida DCF. And DCF has one of the most horrific reputations of any government agency ever. If you want to Google
Yeah, you're
Rilya
just saying that because you
Wilson,
hate DeSantis, Grant. We know your
no, no,
biases.
this predates DeSantis. Has been going on for 20 years. It's not DeSantis is merely the inheritor, okay? But I'm telling you that Riley Wilson, she was literally lost by the Department of Children and Families under Rick Scott's administration, and there's I'm sure terrible examples under Charlie Crist. I'm going to get a Washington Examiner and just read from it. Okay, one of the more horrifying revelations of the report showed that in incidents of abuse, DCF blamed mothers and took away their children. The inexplicable logic behind these decisions was that DCF decided that failing to protect children from an abusive partner was in itself a form of child abuse. DCF found that the parents who endured abuse were at fault, claiming this endangered their children and as a result, subsequently removed them. This is just one Washington Examiner article. If you just Google Florida DCF problems, you will see that far from having improved anything, Florida has a horrific safety net for children. So this ban is going to send thousands of children into a safety net that has never worked. All right. I mean, not in the last 15 years that I can recall.
But what
That's the
your
fact.
argument boils down to is what. So the problem when you bring it
My
back to,
argument is those are
well,
facts.
Right, Grant,
well, no,
just let him speak.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not facts. But what I'm saying is when you're talking in the context of abortion, then what you're saying is the solution to a bad DCS, um, you know, issue isn't fixing DCS, which is what we should find the solution to be, but instead allowing innocent children to be killed before birth so they could avoid these tragedies. And what we're saying is we should save these children, not let them get killed, and also work on fixing our DCF issues. So that's why when you're talking about abortion, if you bring up issues, we can talk about those issues, but you're trying to use those issues to justify killing unborn children. So that's why it always comes back to, is it a life or is it not a life? Are they worth protecting or are they not worth protecting? Does that make sense?
Sure, that is a basic point. When does life begin? Can a fetus
Yeah.
survive with
No.
outside of the womb at 15 weeks in the care of the state of Florida?
Wait, can you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
Can a fetus survive outside of its mother's womb at 15 weeks? And now let's put in a situation that's going to happen as a ward of the state. The 15-week old fetus, will the state of Florida nurture
What a
this
terrible
fetus and bring it
argument.
through life? I mean, is it going
that's not
to
based on
make
facts.
sure this 15-week-old
Can a
fetus
baby survive
lives
without
and
its
gets
mother
adopted
protecting it?
and then has a safety net to live in?
Wait.
Or will it send it into a system that's super, super, super failed?
Ian,
I hear what
1 second, Samantha. I just want to bring Ian in. Ian, you already responded to this quite well. So do you want to make that same argument again? You made it a few times
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, it's the same argument I've been making, right? I mean, this whole argument that it's a viability argument. It's a ridiculous argument because,
Yeah, but
like,
where's the doctor when we need him? 15
yeah,
weeks.
I mean,
The
he brought
fetus
it up, too,
survived.
but the point I'm trying to make is that, look, if you give birth, whether it is at 9 months or maybe it's premature, you're going to have to look after the baby. If it can't fend for itself, is it okay to kill the baby afterwards? Like, what are you saying here? Are you
Can a
saying it's
15-week-old fetus survive outside of its mother?
No, I'm not talking about the fetus. I'm talking about the baby. You're saying
Well, I'm
that the
talking about
fetus.
a
You're making a
15-week-old
viability
fetus.
argument, right? You're making a viability argument that that the fetus can't survive outside of the mother, outside of 15
At
weeks, right?
15 weeks? No.
Yeah. And what about 9 months? So can it survive without being fed at 9 months? Like after it's born, can it survive that for the next year or so?
That's a
2
false
years, 3
argument.
years? No, come on. Like, do you value
I
human
mean,
life or not?
can it breathe without mechanical assistance at 9 months?
Like?
Yes.
Do you think it's just gonna
15 weeks.
eat the air? It's not gonna starve to death if you don't feed the baby.
Do you have a child?
No. Why?
Okay, I have a child. A child cannot survive without being burped. I mean, literally, you have to do everything for them in the first 3 months.
So you're making Ian's
They're like
point
a
now, yeah?
startup, okay?
Yeah, making my point for me. Thank you.
No, my point is that a child, you don't have to breathe for them, okay? Everything else, breathing is covered.
Why is breathing more
pooping,
special
yeah,
than
why is
feeding
that
it?
the
Why
standard?
is breathing
The
the standard?
standard
why
has
is it the
been
standard?
If somebody needs
dependent.
support in breathing, they're no longer alive.
No,
Yeah.
the point is
How is
that
that standard?
if no
That's
amount of
like
support and breathing will
you're
make... Hold on.
differentiating breathing from
Okay,
eating. It's like if you
great
starve a
point.
baby to death, is that not murder?
No, let me respond to Suleiman
Yes,
because
right.
he
It's
was.
murder,
Let me
right?
respond
Why
to
did you say
Suleiman.
no? That's silly.
Okay, let me respond to Suleiman. Okay, so if you put a human being, an adult, let's say a 30-year-old adult, onto ventilation, and he no longer the ventilation doesn't make him, like, he dies, right? I mean, at that point, is he any different than the 15-week-old fetus that is incapable of being ventilated? A 15-week-old fetus, I do not believe, can be ventilated, and it's not developed enough to actually become a person.
What we're asking you is
So-
why does it matter if they need their mother to survive or not? Like, that doesn't change the fact that they're a human being. So we're asking what does that change?
Because they're
we all
not
need
developed
that.
enough to survive, not only without their mother, but, like, period. I mean, 15 weeks is below the viability threshold.
Right. No, what we agree with.
Okay, so it's a
Okay.
9-month baby.
So is it alive at that
without
point?
a mother, you can't
it
survive,
sentient?
because you have to feed it.
Okay,
Wait,
is it sentient?
Wait, can I say this
You tell
real
me,
quick,
Grant.
Grant?
You tell me, Grant. When is someone sentient?
Well, and let me say
Certainly
this.
not at 15 weeks.
Well, that's your
Unless you can
opinion.
recall
There's no
15
data for
weeks
that.
What
in the
about
womb.
age
Because you
3?
don't know when
What about
consciousness
age
occurs.
3?
Well, the thing is,
Certainly
we don't
sentient
know.
at age 3.
I think the
Yeah.
most honest answer is that we don't know. And so ultimately we're arguing over something that we have no idea about. So everyone has their own opinion. So we pick an arbitrary number, essentially.
Look, I'm
You're
going
right,
to tell you
Well, we
what's
don't
not
pick a
arbitrary.
number. We
At
just pick
6
it
weeks.
at
All
day
right.
0. Right?
Real quick. So, Grant, let me ask you this. Because actually, a friend of mine DM'd me this question. I was going to ask it in a bit, but I'll go ahead and drop it now. So, a woman's pregnant. She's
Sure.
driving, gets hit by a drunk driver and killed. That drunk driver kills the baby, but the mother survives. They're still charged with manslaughter, yes?
The mother survives, but
Let's say the mother survives, but the baby doesn't. Or let's say they both die, right? It's not a single charge.
I mean, the both die is, normally they'll add another charge, but I don't know how that works. Honestly, I can't recall hearing.
Come on.
This is just
it's
this is hypothetical,
double murder.
right?
It's
sort of
not
like
murder.
It's not
Stanton
hypothetical.
Fan.
People have been
Different
charged for
states,
this kind of
though.
stuff before. You kill a pregnant woman, and there have been people who have
That's
been charged
true.
with double homicide. Like, there are other implications to
Yeah,
this,
but
and it's important that it all gets
I think that's because you're looking at
Well,
life
you
is
see, here's the thing,
exhausted
though,
to that woman.
and this is a good point.
right. So,
Okay,
Ed,
okay.
is Ed's argument that the baby is only a baby if the mom wants it? Is that correct?
I think the argument is it should be up to the mother to decide because it's part of her until it's out of her womb, or until whatever point line you want to draw. But I
And
think
yet,
that line should be
alongside
drawn.
But
that,
effectively,
Mark,
that is
can I
the
just finish what I'm
result.
saying?
Is
Ian, you
that
always cut me off. I just want to finish what I'm saying. Now I forget what I'm going to say, and yet you do this on purpose, so I forget.
hell
So
yeah.
that just let me finish from now on,
Hey,
okay, Ian? I don't cut you off. Let me
yeah,
finish.
Ed,
So
what you were talking
Go,
about, what you were talking about.
1 second. 1 second. Ed, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
I forget what I was going to say.
I was trying to
Like,
remind him.
Ian does this every single time.
But again, I was trying to remind you. So what the question was okay, what is the line, right? Is it because they are both being charged with murder? And what you're saying is, and what you were saying, Ed, before you got cut off was, but that baby's still part of the woman, and that's where you got cut off.
Yeah, so I believe that it should be up to that woman to decide if it's murder or not. Because if you look at the stats, and Grant, you brought this up, you asked me to come up with some stats for you, so I did. 44% of Americans, according to a 2022 YouGov poll, says that abortion is murder. So should should legislators be able to say that it's murder? Sure, I guess they can, but is that right? I don't believe it is, because most of the country doesn't believe that it is murder. Whereas if, for example, if somebody holds a gun up to somebody's head and pulls the trigger, you're going to get, I don't have the stats on this, Grant, but I assume 99.9% of Americans would say that's murder. So I just feel that you, personally, I don't feel I have the right to tell someone else when life begins for their child. I feel like there's going to be certain religious people that believe that it begins at conception. There might be other people who believe that, that maybe they're religious and they don't believe the soul comes into the baby until it's delivered. There might be atheists who believe that, their definition of when it's morally right to be able to take a life of a fetus is when they have a consciousness to know that they're alive. Otherwise, it's not anything more than just a bunch of human cells. So, I mean, there's a lot of different beliefs. So I just don't feel that government should be able to tell a woman where that line is drawn.
Lacey
Yeah,
and
I
Scott.
think Grant actually agree on that. But can I respond to one thing Grant said earlier, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Grant said, if the child's born at 15 weeks, they will not survive even with